Welcome, Art. Thank you for making the time. Can you share a bit more about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture at United Home Relief?
Yeah, so at United Home Relief, I'm the founder and CEO. So basically, I'm overseeing the execution of our entire vision, which is to serve as many communities in the United States residential real estate space by renovating homes and providing obviously rental properties to the community, but also even, making people homeowners into the beautiful homes that we're renovating. So I just oversee the vision. Company's still small, so I'm overseeing the operation as well. Day to day, just managing everyone, a staff of about 12 people. But yeah, that's my role currently.
Amazing. And once you're a founder, that per se, wear so many different hats, right? I mean, you oversee sales, you oversee marketing, you oversee um, operations, etc. I'm curious to know, what does a typical day look like for you, even if it's typical, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So I find myself, growth is funny. I find myself wearing multiple hats now as I did when I started in 2019. But at least now I'm a manager of a bunch of different departments rather than being the entire department back in 2019, 2020, and even 2021 when I started. So day to day, before I started implementing serious business systems into my organization, I would wake up and just do whatever I needed. And I thought that maybe having a to-do list was organized, but in fact, it actually wasn't because there was no systemic rhyme or reason or prioritization of what I was doing. Oh, we're not perfect, so still sometimes hectic, but I'm at least waking up and I know I have a scheduled time of when I check each department. Follow up with my department heads. I have specific time to shoot content. Content is a major part of how we've grown and what we do, and just providing value to our audience as well as upholding a brand standard so that people want to do business with us, whether it's selling us their house, buying a house from us, partnering with us. So shooting content, conversing with department heads, making sure I have quiet time to visualize where I want the company to go and make sure that everything that we're doing on a day-to-day aligns with that is also intentional. And I'm always on the phone, man, doing stuff like this, networking, calling, podcasting, taking sales calls, talking to new potential partners. That's really the majority of my day now. And I can honestly say that's by design, though. I did that on purpose. The revenue generating activity usually comes to me. All the other stuff I have hired out, thank God. So I'm doing much less, but like much more at the same time.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
And you started off in 19, right at the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
And now, 6 years later, I'm curious to know, what major shifts are you seeing in the industry right now?
Yeah, the biggest thing is not even a shift. It's just a mindset that I am just now learning is required. And that mindset is delusional optimism. Seriously, paired with like a willingness to pivot. When we first started during COVID, we made a lot of money because everyone was telling us that real estate wasn't good to invest in. And that's because prices were higher because interest rates were lower.
Of course.
It makes sense on paper when you just are like saying it from the sidelines. But when you're in the game, it was like, well, if prices are higher, wouldn't I want to be in real estate? Because I want my real estate to be valued more. If I can buy it cheaper, this is a good thing. Again, as a newbie during that time, that was delusional optimism. So now, someone being in the industry, I sound like the old grumpy people who are like, now's not a good time. The interest rates, the market is slow. But again, I've learned that you have to find the positive of what the current market is and then simply work around it. So like right now, if the market is slow, now is probably the best time to be acquiring assets at lower cost. Yeah, you can find negatives. That's my current delusional optimism. But overall, there's a systemic mindset, and even just like the way in which we buy deals is much more conservative that can withstand multiple markets. I mean, in the 5, 6 years I've been doing this, I mean, look, we've experienced 2 once in a lifetime occurrences,
Yes.
whether it was the global pandemic and what that did to the market, to even now historical interest rate hikes and market conditions. So knowing that all that could happen in 6 years, it just changes the way I look at real estate in general.
Of course. Of course. And I mean, with experience, you learn that real estate, it's a numbers game. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the interests are high or low or what the market conditions are. As long as you do your homework, sit down with pencil and paper, and go over the numbers and see how you can make a property work. So yeah, That's what you learn with experience, right?
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, right, we started off primarily doing fix and flips. Now I'm literally transitioning my company to where we don't do any fix and flips, because fix and flips, as much as people don't want to admit it, because we all love the idea of being able to do something for 3 months and making $50 to $100,000. So none of us want to poop, and we don't want to give it a hard time, because we all just love that idea. Whether you're in real estate or not, we just love the idea of flipping houses. HGTV, right? But guys, at the end of the day, fixing and flipping is a high risk thing. Anything that can make you that much money in a short period of time is high risk. You're risking a lot of things. And that's when, you think about that, you think about Airbnb, you think about, assisted living, and all these kind of workarounds in real estate that can make you more money than the traditional rental, or more money than the traditional wealth building over time, 30-year principal pay downs. And, like, these are all the benefits of real estate that never change, but these micro strategies that I just mentioned do change. And I had my business, unfortunately, built around fix and flipping, and it hurt us because we took our eyes off the prize of what the true value of real estate is. And that's long-term wealth, tax benefits, right? Appreciation, everything that just comes with real estate naturally when you buy it, even if you don't know nothing, right? If you're someone who knows nothing and you go buy a house right now, in 30 years, you're going to be more wealthy. This we know for a fact, as long as the property is well managed or whatever. Fix and flipping, not so much. Airbnb, not so much. You're adding additional variables that can dictate whether you have success or not. So for me, I started to, as I matured, right, and got experience, like you said, I started to shift my business to be a more secured business by just focusing on the traditional strategy of real estate and not trying to be so aggressive in how we make money, and building a business around a high risk activity.
Of course. Amazing. And how about AI? Has it impacted your business growth strategy in any way?
It's so new that it's still impacting it, but absolutely. I mean, even just Chat GPT alone, or AIs like it, have assisted in quicker creating SOPs, quicker getting additional resources or information, just all the different ways that, like, a virtual assistant, when virtual assistants became a big thing, how that affected the business. Very, very similar, right? It just enhanced your bottom line of some of the things that was sucking so much time of your day are now being eliminated by AI. So that's one way. And then the second way is obviously outreach. There's like literally AI texting, AI cold calling now, where it like literally sounds like a real person. We're testing all of these things, but none of which I can definitively say like, yo, this is better, or this is going to grow our business. We're still in testing periods. Yeah.
And what's working well for you right now? What has been kind of frustrating, Art?
Is that two questions? What's working well and what's been frustrating? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, working well has been finding good real estate deals has been working well. I don't know if it's the market or our systems are just clicking, but we've been doing a really good job of finding good real estate deals that are profitable. What's hurting me is honestly the last year or two of interest rate hikes, but not only the hikes, but then it never coming down. It literally plateaued at the height of it. All of the houses that we bought to flip at that time, we find ourselves either transitioning into a rental or selling at a lower price than we thought, right? Or sitting on the market longer than we thought. And, when you, at one point we were flipping 12 houses at a time, when you're doing that, you're very exposed, right? If each of those 12 houses go 3 additional months,
Yes.
and your carrying costs on those properties are, just for easy numbers, $2,000 a month. 2 times 12, that's 24. 24 times 3, you're talking about a $75,000 swing in your business that I won't even sit here and lie and pretend like I was prepared for. We were absolutely not prepared for it, because we were doing so well during the post-COVID era of fix and flipping. So we're still climbing back from that, honestly. So we're trying to offset, some of the negatives of 2023 and 2024 with some of the positives of how easy it is to find really good deals and motivated sellers now. Yeah.
And I know previously in our call you mentioned that right now you finally act like a CEO. You manage several departments within your company. I'm curious to know, what metrics are you most focused on improving in those departments?
I can't even say it's metrics, to be honest. It's personnel. And this is no shot at my personnel. It's not a reflection of them. It's more of a reflection of like our budget and understanding what it does to your business when you work with, hire, partner with absolute superstars, people who are just as good as you at roles or better. Is really what I'm paying close attention to. Who in what roles and what departments make me feel like I don't need to micromanage that. That's like the biggest thing I'm paying attention to before I can even pay attention to metrics, quite honestly. I mean, if you're looking at my sales and acquisitions team, I do believe I have a rock star there. So like our metrics there, it's about, how often are we making offers? The more offers we make, the more deals we get under contract, the more deals under contract, the more money we make ultimately. Um, so our KPI looks like, I don't know. If we're contacting, I'll share exact numbers kind of at a high level, but if we're contacting 5,000 motivated sellers, potential motivated seller leads, I anticipate a 1% interest rate, meaning like 1% of people are actually interested in accepting an offer from us. That's 50 people. And of that 50 people, I always anticipate closing 10%. And at 10%, that's 5 closings. And I'll probably market to 5,000 new motivated sellers each month, which will get me roughly 5 closes each month, which is like a kind of a company KPI that we don't always hit, or we're not always that aggressive, but ideally that would be our benchmark from an acquisitions perspective, which means you need good personnel for negotiating, good personnel for quickly evaluating deals and getting offers, people who are good at conversing and finding, pain points of motivated sellers. All of that has nothing to do with numbers. It has everything to do with like personnel, right? And like them being a rock star.
Of course. And if I may ask, Art, now that you mention, you get 5,000 leads, okay, per se, you get 5,000, 10,000. How does your outreach method work? How do you get to those 5,000 people? Because at the end of the day, these are, I mean, common folks. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to say common folks, but people that aren't necessarily in LinkedIn per se, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are like exposing themselves.
The coolest thing about real estate that a lot of people don't understand is that real estate, when you buy a house, a lot of what you do is public record. So when you buy a house, your name and address is public record. Not the address of that property, but like your actual name and address. So you can use those two things to do a number of outreach. You can do postcards or direct mail, right? Which costs a little more, but it is effective. You can cold call. A lot of people don't like doing it, but you can do it. We love text message marketing, right? We love that. We love social media. Like I said, being loud about us needing deals goes a long way, guys. If you're consistently always saying, I'm buying deals, look at this deal I bought, I'm buying deals, you'll be surprised how many leads come from social media, right? And then there's obviously social media ads as well, which we actually don't even run too many of, but social media, Facebook specifically, Meta, you can run ads on Facebook and Instagram saying, hey, I'm making cash offers on houses. If you are this kind of person, this sort of motivated seller, right? And you're speaking directly to a certain kind of person, you will get a lot of leads who are interested in selling their house. And the cool thing about those leads is that they're yours. There's no realtor involved. There's no wholesaler involved. So you can decide if you want to list it, or if you want to wholesale it, or if you want to buy it, or if you want to buy it subject to, or if you want to do seller financing. That's all up to you when you run your own marketing system. So we're big on that here, and we're big on that for our clients as well.
And when you mention social media, which platform is like your go-to platform?
Go-to is Instagram for sure. I know it shares to Facebook, but Instagram is where I'm most active. If you guys are watching this, you can follow me at Art Morrison III, my company at United Home Relief as well. That's where we're most active. It shares to Facebook, so I guess we do kind of get a lot of activity on Facebook, but I'm not on there really too much to see. Newly though, my new favorite is YouTube. I just think YouTube is a different kind of
It is.
it's a different kind of person, but that's a little different. That YouTube gets me more clients for like sort of the consulting wing of my firm, not so much motivated sellers. So we're getting a different kind of lead there. But I love those three: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube is pretty
Cool.
solid. LinkedIn's cool. I stink at it. I don't know how to.
Which one?
LinkedIn.
Well, LinkedIn at the end of the day is more of a B2B platform from what I've experienced.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, what I've seen from what I've heard from your business is more of a business to consumer at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. I think all of my business is business to consumer.
Definitely. And I'm curious to know right now, you mentioned Instagram, you mentioned YouTube as well. What other tactics have you been using to getting people through the door? What has worked and what hasn't worked that well so far?
Well, social media is an extension. My apologies.
Don't worry.
So social media is an extension of human interaction, right? Social media is social networks, if you will. At the core of it is just networks. So when you understand this, I like to look at social media and every other marketing tactic in the same way that you would imagine a market or a mall, or I like the market because if you think of like in the ancient times. Like, how were things sold? How were clients found, right? So number one, you would go where clients were. Number two, you would literally with your mouth call out the client, right? So you would go where there were people, your local market. Let's say this is like ancient Egyptian times, right? And I'm in the market. If you picture like Aladdin, you know, that when he's a street rat walking through stealing apples. Anyway, when you imagine these, you literally, there's a town center, everyone is there, and the people who have a business are there calling out a specific person and yelling about their product, right? You're barefoot. If you're barefoot, you need shoes. I got the best shoes here. Or you need leather. I got whatever. Hungry? Who's hungry? I got an apple, right? That's all social media is. But, you know, Mark Zuckerberg and those folks have gotten billions of people together on an app, all in our hands. So for me, I don't look at it so much like social media tactics specifically. It's more just like, how do we reach the right person? The people are there. What's the best way to reach who we're looking for? So let's just say we're looking for motivated sellers. What do motivated sellers think like? How do they move when they're on social media? If someone is going through foreclosure, right? Or they're behind on taxes, are they going to respond to a really sad video on social media that says life sucks and it's only going to get worse? And you know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to want to see someone who's like, hey, if you're going through foreclosure and this and that, I understand. I get it. I've been there before, this and that. Here's a solution that I've helped dozens of clients, yada, yada, yada. A simple video like that, or a photo or a long caption, you're going to attract that tribe and you're going to generate leads in that way. So no matter where I'm at, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever, don't get me wrong, I'm not always doing this. It slips my mind sometimes, but at the core of my marketing and branding is that. Who are you trying to serve? What language do they speak? How can you speak that language authentically to attract those people and offer a solution that they're looking for? Whether it's people trying to close their first real estate deal, or people trying to sell a property that they've been struggling to sell, or people who are just going through a situation that has them motivated to sell. How are we constantly reaching those people?
Art, you mentioned before that you offer consultancy, right?
Yeah. So we help aspiring real estate investors close their first real estate deal in 90 days or less, just by implementing all the ideologies and systems that I just explained.
And how about, I mean, right now your current market is in New Jersey, right? That's where you target property purchases.
So we're actually in four states more so now, but at one point we were in 5 different states, right? So we started in New Jersey. Now I live here in Florida, so obviously we're in both New Jersey and Florida. But I have a team in North Carolina that's doing really well, and I had a team in Georgia also that we've done some deals with. So you know, South Carolina is something we're trying to dive into as well, just because it's sandwiched between North Carolina and Georgia. So
Of course.
we're looking at opportunities, and I have a team there as well. And then the Midwest is next. But right now we're in those core 4 states.
And I mean, your strong suit, like your main bread and butter per se, is buying distressed properties, right?
Yeah, that's the name of my game. Probably will be forever.
Buying those types of property, cleaning them up, having a fresh paint put on, and then reselling them, right?
Historically reselling, but like I stated earlier, we're getting away from that. I think it's slapping that fresh paint, fresh roof, fresh whatever on, and then putting tenants in it and holding it for the long run. I think that's going to be my bread and butter forever.
Getting those leads. I only ask this because right now through the podcast, I mean, I've met and spoken to wonderful individuals, including you, of course, Art. But the other day I was talking to well, now he's becoming a client of mine, and thinking out loud, just your knowledge in marketing would benefit other home buyers. I mean, because some people out there that I've spoken to are literally just beginning to take like very small steps toward the career that they want. And they actually don't even know how to get more leads or how to create more social media content or how to put themselves out there. I mean, I even talked to another individual that his only lead source is Google. I'm like, how can you only have one lead source?
Hey, I talk to dozens of people every week who are looking for help, and man, you'd be surprised at what people are doing to find deals. I mean, they might have one realtor working for them. They might just be Googling. Some people are just like, with such confidence, they're like, yeah, Redfin and Zillow. And I'm like, yo, man, you know, everybody can see Redfin and Zillow. You know, like anyone with a phone can see Redfin and Zillow. Those are not leads. Those are just, you know, like you're just the end buyer of Zillow's lead or of the MLS, even worse, right? So people don't know the science behind finding deals. At the end of the day, we're all here to find property, but we want deals. We want deals that we're getting for less money. We want stuff for cheap. We're here to shop at a discount. And I think people forget that that's the core of what we're doing here. And the discounts are always, always, always off market, direct to seller, motivated sellers specifically, who are looking to get rid of their house by any means.
And the most important thing when you say that, I mean, that creating that bond with the direct to seller, you have to be the first one there as well, right?
Yeah,
The
the
direct
first
to
or the
seller,
best.
yeah, the first one or the best. I mean, because the direct seller wants to offload his property as soon as possible. He'll go into Google, he'll go into YouTube, he'll go into Instagram, and the first person that pops up into his feed and says, "Hey, I buy distressed property," or I buy cash properties, he's gonna go with that person.
Yeah, speed to lead, you know, speed to lead. And it's not, they're going to go with that person just because they're the first one saying it. But then, naturally, right, as the transaction goes on, they might hear for some more people. They might see more ads or more pages. They might also just get cold feet about selling. And this is when strong branding and consistency comes in, right? This is when you're presenting yourself properly, which is, if we go back in this podcast, that's why I was saying, are you speaking the right language consistently, right? If you see my video and you like, I want to sell to this guy, and you go on my page and you scroll and the next video is like me smoking a joint, or like, it's like, who knows? I'm saying it might align with you, it might not, but the intentional social media marketing that is consistency and one consistent message targeting one specific audience. And that's just on social media, just generally speaking, right? Website, LinkedIn, like you said, wherever humans are present, if you are consistent in your voice and your narrative and the audience you're targeting, you can grow any business, real estate or not, but especially in real estate, right? We're not a difficult business here. You buy houses, you find people who want to sell them. Pretty easy.
That right there, that what you just said is the difference between a lot of home buyers that I've spoken to, that they wait for the lead to search for them.
Yeah.
Versus you, what you're doing is you're putting yourself out there and you go and find that lead.
It's a sandwich. We doing both. We looking for you, and you're gonna stumble across us. You know what I mean? Ironically, right? If we send out a text campaign saying, "Hey, what's up? It's Art. Were you not a home relief? Interested in your house at such and such address? Have you ever considered selling?" Right? Even if you weren't considering selling, like, now you are, because you're like, "Yo, this guy reached out to me to sell my house." And when you open social media, whose big old happy face you gonna see? Mine, right? When you open your mail in the next week, you might see a postcard from us. So you're planting a bunch of seeds. I don't know what the metric is now. I know at one point it was like you needed 17 touches to close a deal, right? I think it's far more now because our attention spans are so low. But the point is, you need a lot of touches in any business to get someone to actually decide to do business with you. And those touches can be a text, a phone call, a postcard, a social media ad, an organic social media post. I saw this person at a networking event. This person was sponsoring a local soccer thing in my neighborhood, right? So now you done seen United Home Relief in all these different areas. When it is time for you to sell, who's coming to mind?
Yes.
United Home Relief. So you're kind of hitting them from all these different directions. You're chasing them down, they chasing you down, and all roads lead back to your company. That omnipresent style of marketing is kind of what we push, because a lot of people are scared to market. They're scared to be loud about the product they're offering.
And Art, now that you mentioned the text message campaigns, just curious, how many text messages do you send per month?
We're capped at 5,000. We use PropStream. If anyone's watching this, I'm sure you probably heard of PropStream. It's a very popular application. I know there's PropWire and REI Works and all these different. We use PropStream. PropStream only allows you to pull a list of 5,000 per month. Now, we can have multiple accounts and stuff if we wanted to, but we found that 5,000 is more than enough. And then by the time we skip trace it and we remove like the people that are on the do not call list because we don't contact them, usually ends up being like 3,000. Usually like 3,000. I'll even Jose, I'll take it a step further. The marketing works so good that we usually do this once every 2 months. So we don't even do it every month. That 3,000 leads usually lasts us 2 months, and that will meet our KPI of 2 to 3 deals a month off a list of 3,000.
That's nice.
Yeah, honestly.
Okay, so my next question, I'm obviously going to be deleting this, which was how are you keeping yourself competitive? You basically just answered that.
Nah, it's okay. I mean, that's one way, but yeah, the whole podcast was me basically giving everybody my secrets of how we just stay relevant in the game. And it's, like I said, strong brand. Like, these are our pillars that we teach all of our clients. Like, create a strong brand, That's the audience and the narrative and the language you're speaking, and even just down to your colors and your voice, your fonts. Like, we're big on that because we want you to recognize us when you see us. And then number two is a lead generating system, and that's what I talked about with the text message marketing, postcards, social media, whatever. We try not to exceed $3,000 a month in marketing, which is small, actually. It's really low, to be honest, but that's only because we're in the middle of liquidating and selling those flips and stuff. But
Of
like,
course.
it's not expensive marketing is my point. And
I
then,
mean, at least you have an allocated resources. Some people don't even have that.
yeah, for sure. For sure. So those two things is really our secret weapon. After that, it's the basics, right? Have good lenders in your back pocket to buy when you do find something. Have a good network of contractors, realtors, wholesalers, and inspectors, appraisers. Like, after that, it's just basic real estate 101, right? Like, get around great people. But a strong brand and a strong lead source has really been my bread and butter for the last 5 years.
And what bottlenecks are you seeing that, when unlocked, will take you to that next level in the business, right?
Access to capital.
Access to
Yeah, so like the next phase of us growing as a business is launching a fund to do the same thing we do at scale. So that way we have the marketing dollars, right? We have the budget to buy anything that comes across. We get the best lending terms because we're strongly collateralized, right? So I think launching a fund is the next phase, and that's what I plan to use to eliminate bottlenecks.
And any big plans for 2025? Where do you see yourself in the next 6 to 12 months, right?
I want to get a dog and I need a vacation. And I'm big right now on less is more. The more I systemize my business, the more I want to systemize my life. And my life becomes easier systemized when I'm just naturally doing less. So I might be downsizing. Man, I've been thinking about doing the digital nomad thing. I don't have any kids. I'm not married. But I'm getting a little old. So now's the time for me to be kind of crazy and go live in like Bali or Colombia or Thailand or something cool, Spain, something cool like that.
Or Honduras?
Honduras. No, seriously, South America is big on my radar. So those are all the things. Get a dog, leave the country. And sounds like I'm running from something, but it's just the mood that I'm in lately. I love having peace, man. My business runs so much better when my brain is at peace and I'm not scatterbrained or pressured. So that's what's next for me, man. Do you mind if I ask you what's next for you?
Next for me, building. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Building right now. Yeah, creating connections, building my network, building my company.
I love it,
That's
man. I
yeah.
love it.
Yeah. So, Art, that has been great. Thank you for all of these insights. Where can people reach out to you if they want to get in contact with you?
The best bet is probably Instagram, my personal Instagram page. I do respond. I even have a team that responds if I get overwhelmed, but it's at exactly how my name is spelled, Art Morrison III. That's 3 I's as in the third. That's on all platforms too. YouTube, Facebook, it's all the same. But Instagram is where I'm at. Connect with me there. I love networking there. I love answering questions. I provide a lot of value there. So
Amazing, Art. Well, then, thank you again. It has been a real pleasure, Art.
yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you considering me for your podcast, and I look forward to connecting more.
Of course, of course. Great.